Welcome to East Idaho Newsmakers. I'm Nate Eaton. Today we have in our studio a man named Joseph Kim, who was born and raised in North Korea. He's going to tell us about why he's in America, give us some insights on being an immigrant into our country. We also have Mayor Sean Coletti, the mayor of Ammon, who has worked with North Korean, would you say refugees, immigrants over the years?
Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Of course, North Korea has been in the news, and my goodness, we're grateful to have you here, Joseph. Can you start by just telling us your story, how you ended up in Idaho from Korea, North Korea?
Well, you're asking me a very difficult task. I was born and raised in North Korea, and there was a big famine which took 2 to 3 million people from starvation. And when I was 12, my father became one of them, and I lived as homeless for about 3.5 years. And then I decided to escape to China. And in China, with the help of an organization called LINK, Liberty in North Korea, started by college students who helps and finds North Korean refugees hiding in China and help them to reach freedom, such as going to South Korea or the US. And I was one of them to be rescued by LINK. And I've been in the States about 12 years, and now I work as an assistant to Human Freedom Initiative at the George W. Bush Institute. And a good friend of mine, Sean, I should address Mr. Mayor. I always call him Sean, so it's a bit awkward to say, but invited to come to Idaho and to speak at his event tonight, where he's gonna give community service awards. So here I am.
Wow. Okay, so you're 29.
Yes, I am.
And just so that people heard, your father died of starvation, one of 3 million or so people.
Right.
And you, at the age of 12, were homeless for 3 years.
Yes.
And then you escaped into China.
Right.
How did you do that as a 15-year-old?
Well, like you said, I was only 15, and I didn't have the great master plan. I mean, it's also extremely difficult to escape, as North Korean soldiers patrol the border, the river bank that serves as a border between North Korea and China. And so, yes, I mean, for me, it was, I knew that I was taking a risk by attempting to escape North Korea. And if you do get caught, there is that severe punishment awaits you.
Which is?
Can be a few days imprisonment to a few years imprisonment, or if you're really not, if you're not lucky, then you can get public execution also.
Yeah, that's a pretty severe punishment for escaping.
I would say yes.
So you're able to escape into China. Did you do this on your own?
I was alone, and the reason why I couldn't tell even my closest friends was that I was just afraid that what if one of them report to North Korean police authority, then that would be not a good scenario. So
where was your mother?
My mom tried to leave the country without the North Korean regime's permission, and she was caught and she was sent to prison.
Do you know where she is today?
Not really.
Wow. Did you have siblings?
I had my siblings, yes. I had an older sister who dearly loved me and who I was very close. She was 7 years older than me. And Bong-suk, which is her name, to me, she was another mom. And She escaped to China and sold to a man in China. But after over 10 years, I still don't know where my sister is or who she was married to.
Wow. Okay, so you're alone.
Right.
You're a 15-year-old boy. You escape with your life into China.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have much? Did you have a backpack or anything, or was it just you?
Just by myself.
Wow. No, with no belongings.
No.
Any money?
No, I mean, no. If I had money to begin with, I probably would not have chosen to escape, because trying to escape North Korea, I mean, it's a matter of life and death.
You get into China, then what?
So Chinese government does not recognize North Koreans as refugees. Who, if they do, then the Chinese government does not recognize that because of its political ties with North Korean regime, which I hope that they would soon to change their mind and sided with on the right history, because they constantly chase and arrest North Korean refugees and then send them back to North Korea, even though they are aware the kind of punishments that awaits them. And as a nation, I don't think that's a good example to live, and I don't think that's a good principle and values that to live up to.
Sure. So, do you remember when you get into the country? Was it like the middle of the night? And what's the first thing you do once you step foot into Chinese soil?
I went to door, asked for leftover food. Wow. And if I remember correctly, Chinese people or not, they were told by the government not to help North Korean refugees. If they do, that would be not good for the Chinese people who try to help. And if they get caught, there will be some consequences. So by nature, it was just a lot hard to get around. I guess to put it this way, might give you a perspective. North Korea was bad, but China was bad enough for me to considering going back to North Korea.
Oh, wow. Because they're scared to help you. And are you scared that you're going to get caught?
Right.
So you're living in fear every day.
Right.
Did you just live on the streets? Did you just...
Sometimes I slept in the mountains, sometimes abandoned the house. Luckily, later on, I was connected to Christian missionaries who were willing to help me and take me to a shelter.
Wow. So you ended up in this shelter.
Right.
So you're there in China for how long until you hook up with the organization?
From just exactly 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
And how did you find the group? Was it through the Christian missionaries?
They're all, we don't know the exact numbers, but the reports, various reports estimate there's thousands and thousands of North Korean boys and homeless children living in the mountains, hiding in the mountains or abandoned houses with and there is a group of South Korean missionaries who goes to China and wanted to help them, but realizing that they can't take all of them, what they try to do is to find these homeless children hiding in China and give them an opportunity to be a human at least once in their life, because at some point they will get caught or sent back, and the future of there's so many young people or not there, and so I was one of them, and this missionary came to see me and asked me if there's one thing that you wish for now, ask me, and that's why I'm here for. And I asked her, I would like to have a soccer ball, and she started laughing and crying at the same time, which was so confusing at the moment. But I think even though her initial goal was to meet as many North Korean homeless children who are hiding in the mountains and elsewhere, and give them an opportunity to let them know there is that even though at the moment that they can't rescue all of them, there are people who think about them, and by any means she did not have means or capacity to take me out from China to bring me to US, but for some reason I think she came back a few weeks later, and this is not my job to bring North Korean refugees to US, but I would like to help you, and whatever that she did or however she found Link. It's the organization based in US, California, and connected me to the organization, and with the help of this organization I was able to and going into American consulate in China, and then I was able to apply for asylum seeker status, and then that process has been accepted, and I was able to come to the United States because President Bush has signed in 2004 he signed the North Korean Human Rights Act, which became a United States law that acknowledged North Koreans as refugees and give them an opportunity to come to US and start a new life.
So let me get this straight. These missionaries go through the mountains of China looking for North Korean kids like you.
Right.
You meet this woman, you ask for a soccer ball.
Right.
She starts to cry and laugh, probably because she's overcome with emotion.
Right.
She then comes back weeks later and says, "This isn't my job, but I want to help you get to America."
Right.
Wow. Did you get your soccer ball?
I did.
Yes. Wow. All right. So let's bring in Mayor Coletti. Sean, how are you connected to Joseph here, and how did you get involved with working with North Koreans?
Sure. So yeah, I served a mission in South Korea and had always had a fascination with North Korea. Visited the DMZ and looked off into the vast land at the south border of North Korea and wondered about it, and after that learned as much as I could, and then I a few years ago invited another North Korean to come and do a TED Talk in Idaho Falls, Ju Young. She did a marvelous TED Talk about her own voyage out of North Korea and through China, and in the process I met Joseph, and then we'd just spoken off and on until now, and I thought it'd be an excellent opportunity to invite him to come and share his story, which is great. And he wrote a book called Under the Same Sky, which I read a few months ago and actually kind of inspired me to contact him again. So, and it's all about this whole story that you just heard, but with marvelous detail in between.
I'm sure there's a million stories within the story you just told us,
Yeah.
little nuggets that are pivotal. And what was it like standing there at the DMZ in South Korea, looking into North Korea?
It's just kind of surreal to think about. It's a totally different world, and I think that when Joseph left, he probably felt the same way, that that the world outside is different than the world inside North Korea. And I couldn't help but think the same thing as you look into North Korea. There are fake cities that are built near the border to enhance or try to entice South Korean soldiers to come over to what looks like a better life when no one lives in those cities. They were just built for show. Signs that say, come and live in North Korea and you can have a beautiful home and a family and things like that. And the South Korean soldiers know better than that. But there's a lot of propaganda on the border. But I'm just grateful that there's a group like Link. I met Link several years ago. They came through Idaho Falls, and they just do a great work. In fact, they have helped rescue 1,000 North Koreans in their short existence, and including Joseph. And they're a nonprofit organization, so people can donate to the cause to encourage more North Koreans to be saved.
So when they rescue these 1,000 North Koreans, they're able to get you asylum in the States?
Or in South Korea.
Or in South Korea. But let's say in your case where you come to America, do they then make sure you have a good place to live or a job? Or how does that work? What happens once you arrive in the United States?
So the history of accepting North Korean refugees is relatively very young compared to the other group of refugees, and obviously there was no structural or assistant. So for example, when North Korean refugees come to US, they have 6 months to figure out how they're gonna build their new life, and 6 months is not enough, and that's why I appreciate President Bush. He has taken great effort for provide a platform where North Korean refugees can realize and their potentials and to maximize what they could by going to community colleges and four-year colleges. President Bush initiated a North Korean scholarship program where Bush Center has raised enough money to give out a scholarship to North Korean refugees. And just last month, President Bush had met with North Korean refugees who have received and currently receiving scholarships to attend colleges. And to me, just being able to witness that was just very emotional, and I was very grateful.
So you were there when he was able to meet them. Right. Is that what you did? Did you go to college?
Yes, in fact, I was one of the first recipients of the North Korean scholarship from the Bush Center, and I applied for a position at the Bush Institute, and now I work as an assistant to Human Freedom Initiative.
And so you have your career, you have your job.
Right.
And what did you study?
I studied political studies and international relations.
And when did you learn English? Just kind of along the way?
Thank you for asking, but I'm still learning English.
You sound very clear and yeah.
Thank you. I was put in an American foster family where it kind of forced me to learn the language, and I also had an opportunity to attend American high school. So started from taking ESL classes where I learned how to say and write and read apple or airplane, and so that's how I learned.
Do you have any sort of desire to ever go back to North Korea?
When I had an opportunity to visit South Africa a few years ago, and when I landed to Johannesburg International Airport, the first thing that I saw on the wall says that they call it Africa, but we call it home. And I don't think I will ever forget that statement. In the same way, North Korea is one of the darkest corner of the world. And the current regime is the worst human rights violators in the human history, in the recent human history, in my opinion. So if I do go back, it's not gonna be for the regime, but for my home. Like I said earlier, it's a place that where I experienced many dark moments, but at the same time, it's still a home for over 20 million North Koreans who are my friends. So I would love to go back to North Korea one day where without worry about safety.
Sure. How do you, as a young boy, how do you have the mindset to think, I need to get out of here, or my future is unknown? You know, you might not live to see another year. Where did that drive come from to continually go out and escape on your own, go into an unknown country where you didn't know anybody, and then live in the mountains and on the street? I mean, where do you think that drive came from?
That's a great question, but I think if you were to ask me what kept me going in the times of difficulties, I would say that it's the knowledge that I was loved by my parents and my sister, and so every time that I wanted to give up, I was able to stand up again and say, you know, I was a beloved son that who deserved to live a bit longer. In terms of like making a decisions as to escape, despite of knowing the consequences of if you get caught, was that it really was at the time, you know, it was either dying from starvation or die from getting a gunshot. And so I mean, those are not really choices between good or bad. It's just choosing between worse and
the
worse.
lesser of two evils, yeah.
Wouldn't you say that one of your life goals would be to eventually reunite with your sister?
Yes, that is. And I have an app on my phone that where I learn a few words every day, a few Chinese words every day, because I hope that one day when I am reunited, I hope that my sister is with a decent man, with loving my sister, and I hope that by then if she has children of her own, I would like to I guess then would be my niece or nephew, that I love them in Chinese, and I would love to communicate and have a conversation with their comfortable language. If they happen to speak English, that would be easier job for me.
How do you say I love you in Chinese?
Or I need.
Yes. And your sister could maybe somehow see this, I don't know how, if she's in China, or one day see it. When's the last time you spoke with her?
When I was 12, and I'm now 29, so 17.
Do you remember your last conversation with her?
My sister and me and the expectation between me and my sister was that she would go to China and find some food and come back within a few weeks. So I didn't know it was going to be my last time see her. So I didn't have a proper
Farewell. It was
Yeah.
just a see ya,
Yeah.
come back. And do you know, did she make it into China?
yes.
She did, but you don't know what happened from there. So, Joseph, what is your goal from here? Do you plan to live in the United States for the rest of your life, or what's your future? What are your future plans?
Well, I am U.S. citizen now, so I can stay here as much as I can, and I think that's the beauty of having freedom. I can decide to leave or to stay, and but for now I find U.S. as my home. It's a place where I have most of my close friends. It's a place where I went to high school, college. It's a place where I have a job, and so yes. But if there is an opportunity where I can help North Korean people more effectively than being in the States, yeah, I'm happy to take that adventure. But for now, I'm extremely grateful and happy to be at the Bush Institute, where there is so much desire and people who are committed and wanting to help North Koreans. So I don't know if I can find a better place for now, and so at the moment I have no intention to leave.
We're happy to call him an American.
Right, yeah, and an Idahoan for a few days at
Yes.
least. Sean, I served a mission in Australia, and there's just a special place in my heart for Australians. Anytime I meet one, it's like I've seen a long lost friend. What is it like to have a Korean? I know you weren't in North Korea, but still a Korean here sharing such a powerful story and knowing that 1,000 other people have been helped through this Link organization.
Oh, it's wonderful. It really touches my heart, and I live for these moments. And really, North and South Korea, they're all family. Right? It's one family. And so it's like I served in both places. I didn't, but I probably met enough South Koreans that told me my grandfather is in the North, or my brother is in the North. I came from North Korea, and in the war we got separated, and I've never seen him again. Those stories so many times, yeah.
That's what I appreciate and thankful for Sean, because even though he's just an American, has no relatives that I'm aware of in South Korea or in the North, but nonetheless, he has big heart, and he uses that feeling for good, and so I appreciate. Yeah. I mean,
Thanks, Joseph.
of course.
Joseph, do you have a message that you want to share with our audience before we wrap up here? Anything you want them to know about you and your journey, or the North Korean people, or any lesson that you've learned from your life that could help people watching?
I'd like to say that, in my opinion, the ability to care for another and act compassionately is one of the key foundation of human civilization. And I think it's so important to remember that, to help those refugees, not only from the North Korea but the rest of the world, that it is our responsibility, and we certainly have power to help them. So if we have power to do so, and if helping others is one of our characteristics of being human, why wouldn't we?
Wise advice, wise counsel. Give us the name of your book again.
It's called Under the Same Sky.
Under the Same Sky, and can it be ordered
on Amazon?
Amazon?
Yes.
Thank you very much for sharing your story with us and for visiting Idaho Falls for a few days. And by the time you see this, he will have spoken at a few different events. But we're grateful that we have this here for you to educate all of us and make us. You've done a lot, and we appreciate your story.
Thank you, Nate.
Thank you very much.
Me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nate.
Thank you, Mayor Coletti, and thank you for watching. Have a good week.